Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1 studio.
Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. I'm bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not here to save your soul, I'm here to save your business, maybe your job, maybe your community, because it all comes together. We got to work together. And my mission is to help business owners or those who are aspiring to become business owners to find a safe place to find information, air it out, get resources, get information. And that's where I am here. That's my mission, my reason for being, my purpose is to bring you information and resources to be successful in business. And you also have to have the right mindset. You got to think like a business owner. So we try to help in that area as well. Welcome to the first Friday in the month of February. It's also Black History Month. And we welcome you. I'm Robert Gatewood. I am a business developer by trade. I have been at that for the past 30 plus years. I'm a professor, teach marketing and business development at the college, teach networking, digital marketing, social media strategies, PR, communications. Been doing that for 25 years. Also written a couple of books on the topics of marketing and business development, one called Played in Fool, another called Smarter Than the Boss. And I've been in the government space as well, helping in the Small Business Administration with technology for small businesses. So it's all tied up to my big mission and purpose of making sure that we can lay down an economic foundation in our community. There's so many things that go wrong when you don't have an economic base. All the marching and other things, they're great, but you got to have the economic foundation as well to get that leverage. People just don't take you serious if you don't have some type of economics and foundation and financial wherewithal. And so that's my way to do it. Now you do it your way, I'm going to do it mine, is to build successful businesses. And the best way to do that is to have a foundation in marketing. That's my path. Welcome to the show. Got a lot to talk about today. This is in February now. Hope you enjoyed your January. This February is coming in with a bang. January went out with a bang, but February is continuation. We have some somber news. This show has also become a place to bring you some of the saddest news. It's not the goal, but it just seems to keep happening. We lost one of the greatest pillars of justice probably the world has ever known this past week, and that is none other than the venerable Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Neely Fuller he was 95 years old, was born October 6, 1929. He passed away on February 1st, 2025. I got a call early in the morning from the family. And the reason they were calling me is because I've been working with Mr. Fuller for the past 12 years. We produced his radio show, his website, his books, helped publish his books. Just been providing sound financial and marketing guidance to the family. I've been doing that for the past 12 years. So I am stunned and still in shock. I'm telling you, I've just got numb. I shouldn't say anything shocks me anymore, but losing Mr. Fuller was a shock, even though he was 95 years old. He was doing his show right up until mid-December. And that's when his health took a turn for the worse. And but you can find out more about Mr. Fuller by going to producejustice.com. You'll see an update on what's next, his books, his works, Matter of fact, this coming Thursday, on February 13th, Radio 1 will be doing a tribute to Mr. Fuller on the Carl Nelson Show. I'll be there to open the program along with Mr. Carl Nelson. And we're going to have all types of scholars and people coming in and calling in to pay their tributes to this great man. Mr. Fuller was a good man. He never drank, never cussed, didn't smoke. I'm not saying that people do those things are bad. I'm just saying that's just part of who he was. Even though he was a fighter in the fight for justice, but he was also a calm individual. He didn't like to argue. Matter of fact, he coined this phrase called VGQ, Victims Guaranteed Qualification. In other words, if you're a victim, you have a right to voice your opinion, whether anybody agrees with it or not. But he also had a very interesting take on justice. His signature take on justice was that make sure that nobody is mistreated and that those who need the most help get help the most. As a matter of fact, our topic today, our marketing sermon today is going to be about justice. So I think the stars are just too aligned that on the first day of Black History Month, we lose Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. So that's why today I'm going to take a few moments to talk about justice. I'm going to try to interpret and break down his approach to justice about not mistreating anybody and making sure that those who need the most help, those that need help the most, get the most help. Marinate on that for a minute. So we're going to dedicate this show to Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. And like I said, go to producejustice.com to follow what's going on. Even though he has left us, he's joined the ancestors, his works will continue. He had a radio show that came on every Tuesday from 9 to 11, and we're going to revive that show and pay homage to this great individual. So also, there are other things happening this month. This is the Black History Month, as I mentioned earlier. So we just have to make sure the significance of Black History Month is to make sure that we are not erased. The best way to erase a people is to erase their history. And there's been a all full court press from certain people to eradicate, whitewash, misrepresent Black history. And so this Black History Month is a great time to do some pushback and make sure that we're not forgotten, we're not misrepresented, we're not marginalized, and that as a group of people, we're deserving of all the rights and privileges that come with being members of this society and the global society around the world. It's also American Heart Month. And generally, when you say heart, you think about this organ in your chest, but it's also, let's think about this heart in a different way too. Compassion and mercy and grace and understanding of the people and fighting for justice. So yes, it's American Heart Month, but also I'm going to use that heart in more ways than just to pump blood through your vessels. It's also First Friday. If you're in the DC area, come on out to the First Friday networking event. I will be there along with Miss Bernadette Clay. It's a monthly affair that we bring business owners together to share their thoughts. We're going to have a sharp young man out today, Mr. Christopher McInnes. He's going to talk about he has a thing called the 849 credit score. So he's going to help people try to get to 849. That's pretty good if you ask me. I think I did crack 800 a few months ago. I'm not at 849, but so he's going to talk about some of the benefits, how many doors it can open, and it's amazing what a good credit score can do for you as an individual and for your business. So he's going to share on some of the benefits of having a great credit score and how to get you to that great credit score. That's at the first Friday. You can go to marketingpulpit.com to register, or you can just walk in. If you're in the DC area, it's on Largo Road. It's over in off the boulevard where the football stadium is, Arena Drive. I think they call it Medical Center Drive now, but it's right over there. You can almost walk to it from the stadium. I'll be there. Ms. Bernadette Clay, the owner of BLE Executive Suites, to have their 3 locations in the DC area: Largo, National Harbor, and College Park. You can find about them by going to blesuites.com. You can also register for the event. But like I said, if you're in the area, just come on out. Just tell them Robert Gatewood told you. You can just walk in, and we'll have lunch waiting for you. You can do your elevator pitch, let the world know what kind of business you have. If you have a birthday this month, we're going to celebrate your birthday. So come on out. It's there's no reason not to come if you're in the area. Now, if you're outside the DC area, it might be a little stretch to get here by 11:30, but come on out. If you don't get this one, you can catch the next one next year. Next week. We do it every month. Let's talk about some other things here. Also, you can go to the business directory and get your business registered at mpi.bz. And let's see what else we got going on here. Let's get this show going today. This is the Marketing Pulpit. We're going to talk about justice later on. We're going to talk about what is justice. Is justice in the eye of the beholder? We're doing this take on justice to honor Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., who passed away on February 1st. He was a client of mine for 12 years. So, man, I tell you, I try to come on these shows happy and ebullient every Friday, but I keep bringing this sad news. And he almost passed almost to the day, a year from when we lost Mr. Joe Madison. We lost him last year. And also, I got the news about Mr. Fuller as I was preparing to go to the funeral of one of our local heroes, Miss Dr. Renee Allen. I went to her funeral this past Saturday over at the Sanctuary over in Upper Marlboro. It's a big church over there. And it was a who's who of people that showed up over there. I mean, I saw all kind of people. I saw the governor's wife was there, the Aisha Brave Boyd, the state's attorney, was there, ran into Willie Jolly over there, and just a list of people that were coming out to honor this great lady. So yes, seems like we have a dual role here in this Marketing Pulpit to help you grow your business, but also to honor those who've made contributions to uplift us in our businesses, in our personal lives, and really just to make this world a better place. Let's talk about a couple of quick items in the news before we get to our topic today on justice. Google has nixed its diversity hiring goals. Wow. Et tu, Brute? Google too? Man, oh man. So Google is doing away with its hiring targets intended to increase diversity. A few years ago, I wrote a big publication on LinkedIn talked about these big technical behemoths like Google and Facebook and the whole likes. And I talked about how there was this dearth of Black talent in these companies. And so a lot of these guys were scratching their heads, and then one day George Floyd happened, and they all said, okay, well, let's just go ahead and do this thing. Probably for the PR purpose at the time. They were starting to show that the real reason they did it was not because that's what they really felt. So Google was one of those companies that jumped in. So now they're backtracking along with other companies like Meta. And they claim they still stand by the spirit of diversity and inclusion. But when you understand the true meaning of justice, you realize they're not really practicing justice. We're going to talk about what justice really means in a moment. Now, Google has joined other companies who have done similar rollbacks, such as Target, Walmart, Amazon, Lowe's, McDonald's, Meta, Ford, Harley-Davidson, Boeing, John Deere. I don't know why John Deere doesn't surprise me, but I don't know, maybe it's the name. But anyway, those companies have also rolled back their DEI initiatives. And as of course, we talked about DEI in an earlier show. Talked about how DEI has become a slur, a dirty word, and how people have maligned the terms to say that DEI means putting forth people who are unqualified. We know what it actually means. Putting forth people who don't meet a certain demographic. That's what they want to say. Now, some companies are standing by their DEI initiatives. They're standing strong. They're saying, look, we believe that DEI, which stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, is actually relevant, necessary to balance the playing field and to make sure that everybody gets a shot, an equal opportunity, that the pool of talent is broadened, not by just the ones that you can see in front of you or the ones you know, but sometimes you have to dig a little deeper to find that talent. You may have to recruit outside of your alma mater or your country club or your family. So companies that are still hanging in there, Costco, they've gotten a lot of support lately because of their strong stance. Apple, so I can keep using my iPhone with good conscience. JP Morgan, Delta Airlines, Pinterest, Pinterest. Goldman Sachs, Cisco, all right, Cisco. Microsoft, all right, Bill Gates. Salesforce, American Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, I don't know if I said Delta Airlines. Those companies are still hanging in there with their DEI programs. Boy. Even if you wanted to get rid of your DEI programs, your timing is suspect. You could have done it last year before that. But the way you did it, it makes you look cowardly. Anyway, whether you're cowardly or not, I can't say what's in somebody's heart. I can only speak on their actions. So it's not me to determine or to speculate why somebody do the certain things they do. Also in the news, the federal worker buyout, which was launched by the man in the White House, has been deferred. The judge has extended the deadline so that people have time to make a decision on whether or not they wanted to accept the buyout. Because before that, I think they had to make the decision by today. So now they have at least until Monday. And then there's going to be another hearing to decide if it's going to be extended. Now, more than 2 million federal workers received the buyout offer. And I think to date, about 50,000 have accepted the buyout offer, despite the uncertainty raised by some that the terms will be honored. Some people are questioning the legality of it, that the president have the power to do that. And of course, federal unions have urged the members to reject the deal. And they are suing the government to stop this action. Also in the news, a 25-year-old Zimbabwean has developed a self-powering electric car that requires no fuel or charging. And that's some real Black history for you. That's what I said the last time we celebrated Black history. Don't just read about it. Make some Black history. If you can. Everybody can do something. So in this remarkable breakthrough for sustainable technology, this guy, Chikumbutso, unveiled an electric vehicle that operates without fuel, charging, or any external power source. Look out, Elon Musk. The innovative car known as the SATE FEV was developed by his company, SATE Technologies. It relies on rechargeable batteries. Wait a minute. It's powered entirely by radio waves, a concept that could redefine the future of transportation. So we're going to follow this story. It's history in the making. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a quick marketing sermon on justice. This is the Marketing Pulpit, and we're celebrating Black History Month, and we're going to talk about justice. I'm going to really take a look at it from the eyes. I'm going to use Mr. Neely Fuller as the backdrop. I'm going to take one of his famous quotes and give it my interpretation on what is justice. Is justice only in the eyes of the beholder? Does everyone see justice the same? Are you practicing justice? So hang on a second. We'll be back. Marketing Pulpit. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We're here every Friday. Thank you for those tuning in online. I see attorney Bradley Thomas. He sends his condolences to the great Neely Fuller and his family. Rest in peace. Thank you, Brother Thomas. Good morning, Platinum. Good to see you this morning. And she always says, I plan to represent Black History Month, year, week, and day. Right on. Thank you, Platinum. And of course, Brother Brown, greatest plumber in town. He sends his greetings. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And if you want your name shout out, you're going to do a shout out, just put your name in the feed. I will acknowledge you. Also, don't forget on Thursday, this coming Thursday, there will be a tribute to Mr. Neely Fuller on Radio 1 on the Carl Nelson Show. He comes on at 8 o'clock in the morning. And you can get the information right here on the Marketing Pulpit. We'll put a link. You don't have to be in the DC area to watch the show, even though the show is broadcast on Radio 1 here in the DC area. You can get the show on your iPhone, your laptop, your iPad. And we'll put the link on the Marketing Pulpit website, as well as Mr. Fuller's website, producejustice.com. And you're going to have some of the great people in the justice fight, people like Tony Browder and a lot of local people and international people will be calling in. They've been calling in all over the world. So anyway, that's a sad moment, but it's a great moment to acknowledge the work of Mr. Fuller. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. We talk about justice. Now, as I say, I worked with Mr. Fuller for the past 12 years. In fact, his wife, who passed away 3 years prior, she was a regular listener of this show. And she is the one who contacted the son, who I worked with on a regular basis. And she said, you need to talk to this guy, Gatewood. I'm just giving you the story now. I'm not trying to self-congratulate here. But Miss Fuller's told the son, contact this guy, Gatewood. He seems like he's really he's not just in it for the money. This guy really has a mission of trying to make sure that people are treated right, people businesses grow, and his heart is in it because this is my mission. So I guess she could see genuineness, and like I say, I'm just giving you the story how we met. And so the son contacted me. He said, my mom said she listened to you on Radio One, and she said she thinks that you can help us. So of course the son told me that when he met me, he looked at me like, I don't know. He said, but then he said, the minute I sat down, he said something told him this guy is genuine. And I didn't tell him my history. I didn't tell him that I'd worked with people like, I was currently working with Joe Madison and a few other people in the justice fight. But I was kind of behind the scenes because I have my own show, my own platform. But when I'm working with people like that, I kind of stay in the background because it's their moment to shine. It's their platform. But I do happen to know the logistics and the technology on how to make these things happen. But anyway, I worked with them and we just had a great run. He had his show on every Friday, on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. You can get the shows. Go to Produce Justice and you can listen to the entire 5-year history of his shows. If you're not aware of who he is, many of you know who he is, but he was just a good person. He loved his people and he really wanted justice, plain and simple. His famous quote was, how he described justice was, make sure that no one is mistreated. That was number one. And then number two was ensure that those who needed help the most receive the most help. Now you can marinate on that for a moment. Make sure nobody's mistreated and make sure those that need help the most get the most help. So at its core, justice is rooted in the principle that respect the dignity of all individuals and that we should not mistreat anyone. That's pretty simple. That's something that everybody should be able to wrap their head around. Don't mistreat people. Respect people. Treat them fairly and justly. That's the foundation of justice. Then the other pinnacle is equity over equality. Justice ensures that the resources are directed to those who have the greatest challenges. I mean, think about this. Let's say you're in a room. There's 3 people in a room. One person has just crawled in off the desert, hadn't had water in 5 days, can barely walk, can hardly lift his head, can't lift 2 pounds. Another person just has a thirst. Maybe he left his water bottle in the car and he hadn't had a drop of water in the last 3 or 4 hours. Another person owns a water company. He's got a refinery out back. He's pumping water, making spring water. So equality basically says you go in there and give everybody a gallon jug of water. Well, of course, the guy that already has the water factory, he doesn't need it. He's going to sit it on the side somewhere. I'll get to it. Maybe might even throw it away, pour it on the plants. Who knows what. The guy that is thirsty, has an amount of thirst. He's going to get him a glass, open the bottle, pour himself a nice cool glass of water. Life is good. But the person that crawled in off the desert can hardly lift his head. First of all, he's so weak, he can't lift the bottle of water. Second, he can't screw the top off because he has no strength. He needs some additional assistance. You may have to lift him up, hold his head, open the bottle for him, find him a glass, make sure it's the right temperature so it doesn't make matters worse. That person needs help the most. That's what equity is about. And that is one of the foundational pillars of justice. Justice also asks us to show empathy and solidarity. When we work together, as a society, for the collective, everybody benefits. We are creating a just society. Justice is also about breaking the cycle of injustice. It's about moving the pillars of injustice to make sure that everyone has a fair shake. Justice thrives when we all work together. Justice is also not just a reaction to wrongdoing, but justice is also proactive, creating an environment in which everyone is treated equally, equitably, and that those who need help the most get the most help. So we project forward with justice. We don't just sit in the present and react to wrongdoing. We can do that too. But true justice removes those pillars that has held people back. Justice calls us, it asks for a moral imperative, a commitment to compassion and care, emphasizing a compassionate and humane treatment for all individuals. We're talking about justice today. We're honoring a great man, Mr. Neely Fuller, who spent his entire life fighting for justice. And the call to action is justice is not just about absence of harm. If we are truly about justice, we take action to help those who are facing harm, supporting the disadvantaged, and recognizing that true justice requires proactive measures. You can't just sit around with your arms folded and say, I'm fighting for justice. It requires action. I'm going to tie in these two great heroes that we lost 1 year apart, almost exactly to the day. Mr. Joe Madison, his famous words were, what are you going to do about it? There's injustice in our midst as we speak. You can't be a justice warrior by just reading about it. You can't just break open Martin Luther King's speech and Harriet Tubman and look at their pictures on Black History Month and say, okay, I'm all in for justice. Well, that's nice too. But it requires actionable steps to support those who are the victims of injustice, wherever they are. Dr. King said it. Injustice to one person is injustice to all of us. I'm paraphrasing him now. So anyway, let's take these points as we embark upon Black History Month and understand that justice is not a Black thing. Justice is universal. Justice should reign in the United States. It should reign in the Middle East. It should reign in Africa, Europe, Asia, wherever people inhabit this earth. Justice should be a goal. And what better to commit ourselves to this goal than on this Black History Month? Platinum, help me out here. Thank you very much. I'm going to put it on the screen. She said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And thank you again, Brother Thomas. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. It's going to be a tough week. I'm going to try to hold myself together until Thursday at least, where we'll have a tribute to Mr. Neely Fuller on the Carl Nelson Show from 8 in the morning until 10 o'clock. I'll be there with Mr. Nelson. They've asked me to open up the show with my interpretation and of Mr. Fuller, my stories of how I've learned from him. And the things that he has taught us are applicable, whether you're in business, whether you're a man, woman, black, white, Latino, Asian, rich, poor. I'm going to close on this quote once again. Justice, don't mistreat anyone, and make sure that those who need help the most get the most help. I'm going to close on that. Thank you again for tuning in to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'll be back next week, right here on the Marketing Pulpit. And as always, if you want to be successful, I have to close on this. You have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.